I think I know what you're looking for. At the moment, you're in the market for a portrait lens, and you got a Sony, and you're wondering if you go for the GM1 or the GM Mark II. Today, I am out with Tyler. He's going to be covering photo, I'm going to be covering video, and we got a awesome model with us today. We're going to get in some pretty cool stuff. Tyler, what do you reckon?
Yes.
You excited?
I am excited.
Why do you like an 85 then?
Because portraits are my favourite thing to shoot. 85 is my favourite thing to shoot as well. And 85 just gives you that nice little tiny bit of compression, which really just tightens that background and it gives you a nice sharp image. So it's been a favourite of mine for like, I don't know, 12 years I've had one.
Yeah, fair enough. You like a tight background, do you?
I do, yeah. And I love mints. The models provided mints, so we have mints too.
Yeah. Basically, so his breath doesn't smell. So there the two are. The 85 GM Mark II is noticeably smaller than the GM Mark I, and it's a lens that's needed an upgrade for just a little while. The reason for that is that this is actually a little bit of a noisy lens, and when it comes to new mirrorless cameras, that's not really acceptable for general shooting, especially when you're talking about video. This has a new focus motor, which makes it a lot faster. Well, we'll see about that today. And, you know, just an all-round pretty powerful little lens. Both the lenses do actually have the same sort of settings on them, so you've got a D-click ring there, a manual focus switch, as well as your nice little clicky buttons. In fact, this one has an extra little clicky button. You know, mate, I do like my clicky buttons. Just to mention, we are shooting the majority of the video with anamorphics because we're just testing them out, basically. So that's why there's a weird aspect ratio and some focusing mishaps. Oopsie.
So immediately noticed that this lens is very reactive in terms of when the model's moving his head and moving his eyes around, that it just stays exactly where I need it to. It doesn't feel cumbersome in the hands. I had that feeling that making it smaller might make it feel a little bit tighter, but generally speaking it's actually quite good. This aperture ring's a bit further forward. I thought that might be annoying. Actually it's kind of comfortable, so yeah, ergonomically it feels great.
Overall, the images have come out really awesome from this lens. I'm very pleased with it, and we're going to do some pixel peeping later on, so stay tuned.
This is the, should we say, the standard 85mm 1.4 G Master. This is the original one, the precursor to the smaller one. Again, it does feel a bit like it's got a bit more of a center weight, feels a bit more like a bag of sugar than anything else, whereas the other one didn't feel like it had any weight to it at all. The aperture ring's a little further back, I suppose, because this lens is a little bit stubbier, but it still feels great. It's still a brilliant lens. Would still absolutely buy one. It's just, if you want that smaller one, then the Mark II is the one to pick up, isn't it? Really? So.
On the base level, the images came out pretty similar between the two lenses.
When it came to the lens as well, what they actually did is the focus motor is actually noisy and you can hear it.
Okay, yeah.
So if you move about and just see if...
Yeah, so you can hear a rattle in the focusing. It's a bit noisier, I suppose. We'll have to try out with the smaller one to see if it really has made a massive difference. But yeah, I can hear it, and you can actually feel it in the lens, which is weird. Sure, Stuart will agree. He knows what I mean. Okay, so Rizzo, we're going to down low. Yeah, like I am. So. This is a soggy tissue in shots.
This lens makes me a soggy tissue.
Yeah, so I've got a bit excited.
No soggy tissues were harmed in the making of this video.
Come on, Tyler, keep it professional.
So you want a close-up focusing level?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to probably get quite close to you with this lens. Okay. I'm just going to see how close focusing distance is about here. So I'm guessing that's about 1 meter, which is pretty good. Right here. Just look right there. So now we switch back to the original 85mm G Master. So we're just going to test the same thing again and see what the focal distance is going to be. Not too dissimilar. Close focusing distance on the 85mm G Master, the original one, not the Mark II, the original one before. It's about the same. So we're sitting here, again, I'd say it's about 1 meter-ish between myself and the model. So pretty consistent, which is great, because I think anybody who's already shooting an 85
is going to want to be consistent in the way in which they shoot, right? So having to stand back further or stand back closer is just irritating. So let's turn your head that way a little bit. Yeah, that's it. Up a little bit more. So we set the model up against the wall to do some pixel peeping with the Pink Panther, which I think worked out really well. And as you can see from edge to edge, it's pretty sharp. And this is the Mark II. Moving on, we then did the same thing with the Mark I. Now you can see that there is a little bit of distortion and color fringing here, but is it significant enough to make you choose between the two? Our results showed that the Mark II is actually sharper, but whether it's a big enough upgrade for you, that's really down to you.
So what's your opinions on it so far then, Tyler?
I like the smaller one, generally more. That's because I'm a weakling. But if I can minimize my kit, then it just makes life a lot easier, doesn't it? In terms of the amount of stuff that I can bring with me. If it's generically sharper, or generically, what's the word? Genuinely sharper, then perhaps that's a selling point. But would I buy it just because it's smaller than this? I don't know. Just leading. So with your back up against it, and I'm going to shoot this way, and then every couple of seconds, just change your pose. Okay. So whatever you want to do, just feel free to do whatever, and then we'll work with it. Okay. So by being a bit more creative with the model and throwing a bit more in the background, we're really able to show off the depth of field of the 1.4 on this lens, and it's quite something. Lighting is so good. It's just a really soft, natural light, which means you kind of don't get any major kind of look to the image, so you can just play around and be creative with it.
Don't scare him. Boo!
Thanks for that, Stuart. Yeah, so sometimes it can actually be useful to have somebody just make the model laugh, because then you get a little bit more of a different emotion in the photo. But sometimes you can just ask them to smile rather than doing it the way Stuart told you to.
Could be a little bit dangerous.
It's really weird when you come up to someone, Stuart, and say balls to your face. Like, fuck
off. What? Yeah, Tyler, where's your evidence that I said that? I feel like you're trying to trap me.
Can we lose the jacket? Yeah. Let me take it from you. Here we go. With your back arm, just make sure it's stretched out, okay? Because otherwise it'll make you look uncomfortable. Yeah. Good. We're going to shoot with the 85mm 1.8G lens, which is my personal lens that I shoot with, because I'm thinking about upgrading to 1.4, which is why Stuart's made me actually present the video today, because he wants me to buy stuff. So we're going to do a bokeh test at 1.8 and 1.4 on the other lenses, and then compare it to f8 on each simultaneous lens.
Why are we not doing f1 and f8 on all the lenses?
Because one's a 1.4 and this is a 1.8.
And if we're shooting it wide, if we're getting this lens, we're most likely going to be shooting it the widest, aren't we?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So what's Stuart said?
Words. Do it.
Right.
Go.
Words and things.
Take a photo.
4, and then we're going to swap it up to f8. So these are all the lenses paired up together, and this is at the widest across all those three lenses that we talked about. And you can see here that the bokeh is actually quite strong across all three. You can see a little bit of difference in the Mark II, giving it more of a clarity than anything else, and this is it then at f8. F8's normally the sweet spot for most lenses, so you should be able to get pretty decent sharpness across the board, but you can see here that the Mark II on the far right does definitely exceed the other two. So, is it worth the upgrade? We're going to keep asking that question.
Is it worth it? Alright man, what's your final thoughts on it for photo?
Love it. Can't help but love it. It's an 85mm 1.4, what's there not to love about it? This clicky aperture, way better. Way better. It's got good feel to it, good weight to it. I could carry it around all day and not have an issue with shooting with it, particularly at like a wedding or an event or anything like that. It just feels cool. It just feels good, you know? It's sharp, it's responsive, it's everything that you would come to expect from Sony G Master Glass and more, and I just feel like it's an appropriate upgrade to the Mark I. So I would definitely be getting one, there's no question.
Cool, now it's time to switch over to the better one, video. Now let's check out the autofocus. Hit it. Go back. So, How did that work? Let's switch over to the GM Mark 1. Great, so we're on the GM Mark 1 now. Let's test the autofocus. Hit it. What do you reckon? Is the previous one better or is it worse? The Mark 1 felt a little bit laggy to me, but is it really worth the upgrades? It works well, it's a very good lens. So we're now checking out the video side of it. We just did a quick autofocus test, which is what you'll have just watched, but now we're going to do some fun video. We're now just going to be switching over to gimbal. I don't really do it enough, and it's actually a lot of fun, and I'm pretty good at it as well. So we're going to be testing out the GM Mark 2. I'm actually going to be doing a video on gimbal use and comparing it to how you play chess. So I've actually had the GM Mark 1 a long time ago now, but it was a good lens. But something that I always found annoying about it was that noise that appears in the lens, and perhaps a little something we could do a bit later is actually record that sound with the mic. But with this one, of course, they've got new focus motors, which makes it a lot more silent. Basically, will give us a little bit, you know, better stuff, I guess. The other side of it is the thing that I noticed when I had the GM and Mark 1, and the reason why I actually got rid of it was that it actually focused really slowly, and it's something that actually generally annoyed me. That's the reason why I got rid of it. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with GM Mark 2. Yeah? Alright, I want you to start facing off that way, swing your jacket round as you turn round and give dead eyeball straight to the camera. So like, look serious to the camera. As expected from Sony, these lenses are nice and light, so using them on a gimbal is actually incredibly viable and they work really well. What I'm going to do now is a kind of rook movement. So what does the rook do? It moves in straight lines. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk this way together. You're going to every now and then look at the camera, you know, badass, cool, have some fun. Yeah?
Okay.
Cool. Ready? We're walking together that way. Walking. We've covered pretty much the optical performance of this lens already, so what I would like to say when it comes to the video performance is that the AF keeps up and it's on point. When it comes to just using center point focus, it is always going to be there, and I really didn't see any lost frames. The only time when it went out of focus was when I was not actually pointing directly at the model, so it's a pretty good lens. The lens performs really quite well. It's a bit fast when it comes to just using like center point focus, but when it comes to the touch focus, it really comes into its own. It's accurate, it's fast, it does really what you want to do at an 85mm. Like I said, I actually did have the GM Mark 1 and the size is good. The size difference, although not massive, is very nice to actually have, and it fits more akin to what you would expect out of the size of a size Batis in terms of size. Again, the optical performance, this is something I'm going to have to do some VO for later on. It looks fantastic though, super sharp, super fast, and all round just a pretty good lens. Hit it! If you like this video, make sure you like, follow and subscribe. If you want to see more, we've got some awesome stuff coming up and I can't wait to show you.